Time's a charm. Sister Kate, out in the woodhouse. I'm not in trouble. I'm I'm in here because it's windy out there and very sunny, and so it's easier. It's a nicer atmosphere in here to do a video. And I've been watching some movies. You know me, I'm a literary person. And I'm noticing a trend in the modern world, modern life right now that I find very interesting. The first series I wanted to talk about is called Stiesel. Stiesel. It's on Netflix, and it's about ultra Orthodox Jews in Jerusalem. Now, of course, as a Messianic, there's parallels there of things of interest, words, and things they do that are very similar. But it's also just a really good family drama. The family's not too rich, they're not too poor. They've got, children, grown children with issues and grandchildren and all sorts of things going on. Non-violent, very little cursing, no ultra violence. Um, and and just a nice capture of that life. It's a very it kind of reminded me of the Waltons in the good old days where you got grandma and grandpa and the 7 kids and the family and whatever. Just sort of Andy Griffith kind of, oh, there's a flat tire on the car and the repercussions of that sort of thing. And then another set of videos that I was watching were I think it's called The Big Day, and um, other shows that cover the Indian, from India, Hindu, um, Muslim, etc., wedding planning, and the modern version of it. And I don't know if you all knew this. There are other videos that cover this kind of topic, but the Hindu culture very much still has arranged marriages. And so, oh, I can't even remember the name of the one. Marrakesh, Makar, something. It was a series where you've got two brothers. They identical twins, and they're getting arranged matches, and then they fall in love with somebody else, and so hilarity ensues, and there's all sorts of stuff going on, and a funny uncle, and same sort of dramas. And the reason I find it interesting is because in both cases, actually in all three, the TV series, The Big Day, and the other ones, there's a change in those cultures. For the longest time, the ultra Orthodox also sort of have arranged marriages. The parents go to a matchmaker, and the matchmaker has a whole book of people of certain ages and interests and families and everything else. And so the families come to the matchmaker, and then the matchmaker tries to make the matches. And the matchmaker, they set up, at least in Stiesel, the young couple goes to a hotel lobby where everyone in the world, the public, can watch them and make sure they don't do anything they're not supposed to. And then they just talk. They talk for a couple of hours, share interests, stuff like that, and then they get to say whether they want to keep the process going or not. And the young person goes back to their family, and they have discussions, and then they tell the matchmaker yes or no. And then if it's a yes, they try another date, and if it's a no, then they're done. And the young people understand it, and they try not to get too emotionally involved in the early stages and so on. In the Hindu, it's kind of similar. Like, the people have a resume, and the parents go through all these resumes, and they find people that they think their daughter or son will be interested in, and then they set up the same kind of thing, these matches where there's older relatives or safe adults there, so when they meet, nothing bad happens, and then they go through a series of those things. And you can see pushback nowadays in these kind of arranged marriages, and with the parents in the Hindu movies and stuff, their example is, well, your father and I, we had an arranged marriage, and look at us, we're married 30 years later. We didn't love each other when we met, but love came as we went through shared experiences. And I think there's a certain validity to that. it does help if you know a little bit about the other person, but you find out more as life happens, as experiences happen. And I find the fact that it's changing now in both cultures, at least in these movies and TV series. Um, the young brides are saying, I don't want my mom to arrange, and decorate and everything my marriage. I want to do it. I want to pick the music. I want to pick the decorations. I want to pick the guest list. And the parents are kind of, put out by that, but it's going through. And I find it fascinating that it happens around 2020, a pandemic. And I'm sure there were movements in it earlier, but when there's a TV series on the big day, it's now getting mainstream. Is kind of my point. And also it crashes with Wawasan 2020 was the Malaysian country's program to be fully modernized, to come out of her sort of 19th 20th century roots and fully be realized as a country. Wawasan 2020. And Pastor and I had heard about that years and years ago. Is there any correlation there? Did the Malaysian government somehow know that in 2020 there was going to be a pandemic and it's a perfect time for big change? I don't know. I just think it's interesting. I think it's interesting that in America, the Roaring 20s happened and there was some sort of, boom bust. The Depression happened in the 30s and the Dust Bowl. The way these events unfold, I just find it fascinating. And then the thing down, the question that comes after the changes is, how is ultra Orthodox and Hindu culture going to change with their young people being very independent and deciding to get married? How is their culture that, is based on thousands of years of history, how is it going to change? All right. And I hope you guys think this is interesting too. The world is happening. All right. I've got to get back to farming and whatnot. Bless y'all. Shalom.